determined by whether you hit that guy or if you get that guy on the ground. Don't get me wrong, hits are a big deal in hockey. But in order to stop a play, to stop that play, you have to hit someone in the NFL. You have to hit them and land them on their ass.
And then the thing about leaving your feet that people don't understand is it's a 50-50 risk. It's just as much risk to you on defense as it is making a big hit. Because if you leave your feet and you misjudge it and you miss the hit completely, I've done that before. I've left my feet trying to tackle somebody and they do a juke move, I'm on the ground. He's going for extra 20 yards. But when you time it right,
it's a big hit.
It's a 50-50 risk, so
it's
that's
big.
For me. It's like, if you leave your feet, that's a choice you make. Now, I definitely don't agree with leading with the head. I understand that because it's a liability on both sides. You can injure your spine,
injure your neck,
you can injure somebody else's head. I get that. But when you're moving so fast, and one of the hardest things to do on defense is timing hits, because you have guys that are so shifty, so fast, tall, short. Depending on their build is how you hit them. A shorter guy, you're gonna have to get a little bit lower and you're gonna have to drop your shoulder. And then sometimes when you're dropping your shoulder, your head gets in the way. You can't just drop your shoulder and move your neck to the side. You're gonna hurt yourself. But sometimes when they say players are leading with their head, I disagree. Because it's all about the positioning of the tackle. And then you might be leading into a tackle going the right way and a guy shifts in between the tackle. So it looks as if you've led into him, but actually he stepped into it.
Well, there was the Josh Cribbs hit with James Harrison where they actually met helmet to helmet that I told Vinny yesterday, I'm like, I have no problem with that one because
you're saying he lunged into him.
Right. When James Harrison lunged into the path of Josh Cribbs, Josh Cribbs' helmet wasn't there at the spot that he was aiming for. He was aiming for his body. You could see that. But Josh Cribbs, seeing that James Harrison was coming to knock him upside his head, he kind of turned his body to a point where his helmet got hit. And I have no problem with that. I have no problem with the vast majority of them. I understand but I do understand what the NFL is trying to do, and I'm not even agreeing with how they're trying to do it, because a lot of it is being brought out through the court system, because these older players are now coming out and saying, well, I got concussions, I've got this malady. Okay, you've got Dave Duerson, a former player for the Chicago Bears when they won the Super Bowl, and Junior Seau, who blew themselves away with shotguns because they were in such pain and purposely blew themselves away with a shotgun shot to the chest so that their brains could remain intact in order to do research on the injuries that they had.
These injuries are terrible injuries. But at the same time, these former NFL players knew what they were getting into, like Scott said. These players aren't coming into the game thinking that, there's a possibility that I'm not going to get hurt.
Right.
There's always a possibility of getting hurt. There have been tragedies on a football field. There have been deaths on football fields.
On football field.
All right? It's a barbaric sport, yes. But you get what you signed up for.
Absolutely. And I agree and disagree with Lou as well with that. Because yes, they are trying to make the sport better. And yes, these older players did deal with a lot physically. But I think that's all the way across the board from their generation. The sport has progressively gotten safer every year.
New technology, new padding.
So players now aren't experiencing half the trauma that older players did. And you try to put it all on concussions. Concussions are an issue, but I just think altogether the older NFL was less safe. The NFL now, outside of concussions, is safer. Players are lasting longer. Their bodies are holding up better. Technology and medical advances are better. So the sport is progressing. People just aren't seeing the results directly, so they don't believe that they're there. But I don't believe football is half as violent now as it used to be. So I don't think you'll see retired players from this generation having the problems that older players, as Lou was speaking of, will have problems.
But even if they did have these problems, I feel that these players who played the game, they're doing it for a reason. They're playing to make money. Like you said, it's a business. They are sacrificing their bodies.
Right.
They're sacrificing their bodies to make money in a game where in order for you to succeed, you have to be stronger, faster, and physically you have to physically impose your will on your opponent. All right? You people talk about big hits. All right? Nobody talks about what happens between the trenches.
Yep.
Nobody talks about what happens to defensive linemen whose knees are getting taken out.
Absolutely.
On any given play.
I've hyperextended my knee 3 times.
Plenty of times. I've known offensive linemen whose job it was, whose coaches told them
To cut people.
cut their knees out from under them. Do you know how dangerous that is?
Absolutely. And nobody's bringing that
And
up.
nobody's bringing that
When's the
up.
last time you heard about that?
They don't care because it's not what people are paying attention to.
And that's the
My
problem.
contention is if you're gonna go say that big hits are a big deal, then you need to come at it from all different
Every
angles.
perspective.
Every perspective. You need to protect everybody. Don't just protect the quarterbacks because they're the sexy position. Don't just protect the receiver that got knocked out because that one hit was the hit that was publicized.
Well, that's where the money comes in.
Yeah.
That's where the money comes in because according to their research and whatever it is, however it is they're figuring this out, these new fans are coming in and they want to see offense. Okay, that's my contention.
Who are these new fans?
Well, a lot of them,
They're what my high school coach he would call them pansies. They're pansies. All right, I learned the word pansy from playing football. Thank you, Coach.
and I understand your point. But again, this is all generated from money, and all these new fans. They want to keep these new fans. They're afraid that they're gonna go away and they're not gonna be able to have the kind of financial impact anymore.
These new fans became fans for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't watching when it was as pussy. Because the NFL just really got pussy these last 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Last 2-3 seasons.
Oh yeah.
So these new fans had to be around the past 5 years, at least looking at football to be considered a fan.
Mm-hmm.
What football were you watching that made you interested?
But see, I blame the ESPNs. I blame the NFL networks. These guys are coming out, promoting offense.
Yes.
But I give it to Chris Carter. But Chris Carter kept it way 100.
Yeah,
He said, I put out bounties on guys. He said these guys want to get big hits on me. Cool. I go talk to my teammate. Hey man, when you see him, blow him up.
Exactly.
And not having played organized football, I knew that. I know that because you have to protect yourself somehow. It's the same thing. It's the same mentality in baseball when somebody hits your best player.
Yeah, with a pitch.
Okay.
With a pitch.
With a pitch.
The pitcher comes
you
out.
gotta cut me. Now you gonna hit that
gotta
best
throw
player.
some ball.
Exactly.
You take out my second baseman at second base. Guess what's gonna happen when you get a ground ball and you try to turn a double play? Your second baseman's gonna be in left field. Okay, because I'm gonna go straight into him. Just ask Frank Robinson.
Yeah.
Frank Robinson, who people. I mean, there were second basemen and shortstops that literally would not bother catching the ball in the pivot when they saw Frank Robinson coming from first base because they knew what was going to happen. So that again, that's a bygone era that
But like I said,
unfortunately, doesn't exist anymore.
physical play in sports today is being basically shunned.
Oh
It's
yeah,
turned into a show.
all of it. Look at boxing. Look at the heavyweight division.
Boxing has died so long ago.
It's dead
Who
because
was the last popular heavyweight that you followed?
Mike Tyson.
Tyson.
After
is it.
Tyson, I
Who came after Tyson?
I couldn't name you a guy after Tyson and
Can
Holyfield.
you name the heavyweight champion right now
Nope.
of the world?
But now, but
This is the first
my
time I've
whole
ever
thing
recalled
is boxing has died because it's been too barbaric. Now you have MMA, you have UFC.
Yeah.
How
they exist?
How does that exist?
Yep.
How does this work?
People gonna find the avenue.
But you see, trust me, if MMA, and trust me, it's getting bigger and bigger by the day.
It's gonna be.
If MMA starts making big money to the equivalent of what the NFL and the NBA are making, trust me, they're gonna pussify that too.
Okay, well here's my fucking rule since we're gonna do it like that. If you're going to be an NFL lawmaker, if you will, if you're going to be an NFL commissioner, or if you're going to be top weight, I'm not talking about legal team and all that. Legal team can be pussy.
Rules committee people.
If you're going to be people that affect the play of the game, you should at least have at least up to high school experience in the sport. At least. And if you have a vagina, you don't need to be making any decisions in football.
At all.
I don't give a fuck how you slice it. I don't care if your dad coached the Cowboys and you sat behind him.
Don't give a
If
flying
you have a vagina,
fuck.
you do not get to fucking make football decisions. Because you're gonna be biased. Because it goes back to the beginning of men and women. Realistic versus emotional. And football has no fucking place for those emotions.
Emotions are non-existent. I don't care how you feel.
I don't care what the hit made you feel like and how bad you felt for the player that's on the ground. He'll get up, he'll recover. That's a great comeback story.
And I understand. I understand the mentality perfectly. Another big contention that we had was how much pull and how much clout Roger Goodell has in the whole decision-making process.
Did Goodell play football?
I never played organized football.
No. It's Roger Goodell.
Roger Goodell?
Did he play football?
Not that I understand. The only thing I know about his background is that he was an intern with the Jets. That's about all I know as far as his
Because
background.
I question him sometimes. And I know, like we just spoke of, he has a lot of fingers up his ass. I know he has a lot of people controlling him.
Yes.
He's a puppet.
Yes.
He's a catalyst.
Right.
I understand that. But, I'm sorry, before him fucking, what was it, Tagliabue?
Right.
He wasn't
Tagliabue was a lawyer.
Tagliabue wasn't having that shit.
Right.
Tagliabue, hey man, they're doing too many hard hits. He's like, okay, send me an email.
And it's funny, and it's funny you should mention that because I'm starting to think, okay, you had Pete Rozelle, you had Tagliabue, and you had Goodell, and none of them were generally football players, if I'm not mistaken. I mean,
But none of them
I'm
put their
homework and check because I would love to find that information out. But if you're gonna make football decisions, you have to be able to,
or at least have an advisor who has been in the situation. I feel that Roger Goodell has enough clout and has too much power where there is nobody who can even defend the other side. There's nobody on the other side talking to Roger Goodell saying, oh, maybe we should do this, maybe we should. No, it's Roger Goodell who's making these accusations, who's looking at the evidence, and who's dishing out punishment.
Well, I think he's following the guidelines that the Rules Committee has put out there, and I think it's kind of like they're trying to close Pandora's box. You know, after everything got out.
should have never opened it.
You should never have opened it in the first
Pandora's
place.
box?
Right.
Don't even.
You open up Pandora's box, you're not gonna be able to bring everything back and pull it back in.
Oh my God.
And now the court systems are getting involved. And basically what's gonna happen is basically with the NBA, what happened with the NBA, where they're gonna lose some of that revenue because people are just gonna, which I remember telling Louis, my son, when he was little and he was the Michael Jordan fan. I said, you gotta understand, Lou, it's very popular now, but there are gonna be people who are gonna stop watching basketball once Jordan leaves. And then it's going to go through a transition period, which is precisely what's happened.
Yeah.
And now basketball, you can't even foul somebody if they trying to make a layup.
Oh no.
You hit somebody too hard, flop it.
Unless it's the playoff.
Everything is a flagrant foul.
Unless it's the playoff.
Unless it's the playoff. I'll give one thing to the NBA. They have made playoff basketball very competitive
Because
and
they
very
understand
physical.
their product. And more people watch during the playoffs than the regular season ever will.
Oh yeah, by far.
And
by far.
did you see that flagrant that Blake Griffin got for slapping hands with his teammate?
Oh, the Reggie Evans high five.
What did he got? He blocked the shot and he dapped him up.
Dapped him up.
Flagrant.
Technical. Because it was over the head of the guy. Like,
Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
NBA, David Stern, you need to do something about that, man.
Well, that's something that he has to address.
It's been a lot of 50-50 calls in the NBA. It's like when somebody gets fouled hard, they miss it. And then when somebody
else gets fouled.
looks at him wrong, what you doing? Don't stare.
You see, and once you start making calls like that,
Splitting heads.
that opens it up for when somebody has to do is touch an offensive player, and he throws his arms up in the air and flies, and flies 20 feet.
Like I said,
and falls.
we
with
have
his legs.
we have a lot of Oscar winners. In
Oh
the
yeah.
NBA.
Oh yeah.
We have a lot of
Manu Ginobili will have to retire if they took
Oh,
away
yeah.
flopping.
Anderson Varejao of the world.
Rajon Rondo. He looked like every time somebody shot him with a gun.
But like I said, that's why you have the best player in the NBA, LeBron James today, who complains every time he goes up for a layup that he doesn't get a call.
LeBron never gets calls, but he's a man child. So with that build, you should never complain about anything, sir.
Oh no.
How many big injuries has LeBron had in his career?
I can't name one.
Yeah.
Well, how about the hits that Shaquille O'Neal used to take?
Right.
And I mean the abuse he used to take, and really he couldn't complain because I mean he's too